All right, welcome everyone to the June 27th meeting of the Fiscal Services Committee. I'd like to call it to order, and I'd like to note that this is being live streamed, and that you should silence your cell phones, tablets, other electronic devices at this time. And be mindful that the microphones here are pretty robust and can pick up discussions throughout the room. So I would just ask you to please try and limit those. At this time, I'd like to ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have roll call, please?
Benton.
Here.
Gresham.
Here.
Paduk.
Here.
Ramos. Here. Miscavige.
Here.
Tui.
Here.
Menuda.
Here.
Cheney.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Okay, first order of business is Department of Public Works and the Engineering Division. First item is to request to abolish one vacant Director of Facilities Management Grade 23 position and create one Assistant Director of Professional Services Management Grade 22. It's legislative request number 112. Could I get a motion in a second? So moved. Menuda. Benton. Gresham. All right. Commissioner.
Hello. This position, we did personnel committee last week was
Yes.
approved. This is, it would be an assistant to Scott Rosanno. Everybody, I think most people know, there's a lot of work around the building here. Works, reports directly to Brian. And this has been open for position for
2017.
yeah, a number of years, and originally the thought was once the government center sort of wrapped up, this project wrapped up, we didn't think we needed it for a while. And now the workload has picked up quite a bit since then. We're strategizing on how we wanted to restructure that to fit into our current business model under building and grounds. And after meeting with HR, we decided that making this a director, an assistant director position would better suit the sort of reporting structure that we have. We do want this position to focus a little bit more on contracts and procurement for building and grounds, which is quite a bit of. We want to make sure we can kind of relieve that bottleneck, give Scott a little bit more time to actually take some vacation time, and just give him assistance. If there's a way, we have coverage, things like that. So is there anything I left out, Brian?
No, that's it.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Just, it says in here that the position will be allocated to competitive class and will be filled through the competitive civil service division. When is that test taking place? You know?
We would have to see, there might be a current list already that would fit this position. Sometimes, correct me if I'm wrong, but there might be a current list that would fit this position that they would be able to pull off of. If not, we would hire somebody provisionally until they pass the test.
Other questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Item B, request supplemental appropriation to the capital projects budget for a front loader to be shared by Orange County Airport and Orange County Parks Department. Funding to be split 50-50 between the departments. This project has been approved under the 2022 capital plan as project number 3, $140,000. Airport $70,000, county parks $70,000 county bonding. It's legislative request number 142. Could I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Legislator Menuda, Legislator Benton. You. Go ahead, Mr.
Ed's off today, so I'm here without him today, but I did speak with him about the need for this piece of equipment. And as noted in the resolution, it's going to be shared with the Parks Department, which is a good thing. We'll get better use out of it. It's going to come with a 12-foot snow push bar, a fork, and a one cubic yard bucket. And basically, it's going to be replacing what some of the more meticulous plowing needs around the airport, around the T hangar, some of the aircraft that are tied down, around the fuel islands, things like that, that are a little bit more sensitive. You can't get with the equipment that they've been using with a really old beat up pickup truck for now. So this is basically going to replace that need. And then in addition, give it other options with the other attachments as well. Pretty much it.
Questions or comments? All right, seeing and hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Okay, I just have a question. Up
Sure.
On top of that, on the description, it says the date was March 1st, 3058. And I'm just wondering, it said it's good for 30 days, this quote. When actually was it? Because it wasn't then, that's for sure.
I don't know, but it sounds like we've got it until then.
Yeah.
So we need to pass this along to our successors so that they can purchase it, 1,000 years down the road, or 800.
You can ask the 3058 what's going to be replaced by.
Is this this is off state bid, Buzz? It says Sourcewell, so
Yeah, I think Sourcewell is, yeah. I think
is
that's right.
is that kind of a
Yeah.
platform.
Yep.
Yeah, quoted under Sourcewell contract number, New York OGS contract number, so. Okay. All right, I will move on then to C, request supplemental appropriation to the capital projects budget for Orange County Sewer District Number 1 to purchase road crew new pickup truck, $50,000. Funding to come from the Orange County Sewer District Number 1 surplus. This project has been approved under the 2022 capital plan as proposed project number 60. Upon approval, the funds will increase capital project number 844-22. Sewer surplus legislative request number 116. Could I get a motion in a second? Tui, second.
Do we need to vote on this?
The last one.
B?
I thought I did. Did I?
Yeah, we did. You did. He has a question after the.
He has the question.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry for the interruption.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I'll just clarify a little about this is from the sewer district, not from the transfer station side of the FNS. So any funds coming out of that will be bonded to the sewer district, special district. Go ahead, Bob. I think Bob's got the backup for that equipment.
This is a Ford F-250 road crew truck. It's a 2008, has 105,895 miles on it. Suspension's rotted. It's not worth fixing or pass inspection, so we replaced. This is a state bid, off the state bid once again.
One question. Yeah, go ahead, legislator.
Thank you. Given the current climate, I don't know how the state bid works with respect to this, but I know that all the car dealerships seem to be getting between 15 to 25,000 above MSRP. Does that affect us off the state
I
bid?
asked that same question yesterday, and no, the answer is
That's a pretty good price, right?
we'll be well underneath. This should be fine.
Thank you.
And don't forget, we're gonna get some salvage value.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, legislator Tui.
Yep, just on the legislative request form, down in the budget comments, I can't really read it, but it says this will increase existing project 844-22 current balance in, I guess, capital project is 134,416. Total proposed is 179. What's the additional on top of the truck?
Yeah, I mean, at a disadvantage. I don't have that in front of me, but I
Oh.
think, I mean, it should be 50,000.
Did you see it online?
Yeah, yes.
Well, we can try to get clarification on that for
Yeah.
tomorrow.
I- it-
So there's a I didn't realize it was on there either.
Yeah, I mean, the
So-
difference is about 45,000, so if there's a salvage value of 5,000 that was estimated as part of it, that might be it.
I'll find it. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman.
Budgets here. Any further questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Before you two gentlemen leave, I'd like, well, no, I know that, but Eric, you had called me earlier today. And I'll let you explain it in further detail, but there's kind of a last minute request relative to a resolution. It won't happen today here, but it may happen tomorrow at Ways and Means. And it has to do with the demolition of the Newburgh Transfer Station. But I wanted everybody on Physical Services to understand what's happening and what hopefully will happen tomorrow if the legislative request gets all the signatures it needs prior to Ways and Means. So could you just go into a little more detail on the circumstances, please?
So if you recall, the Newburgh Transfer Station, we originally put it out to bid for a complete rebuild. A couple of years ago now, I think, at least a year ago. It was during COVID, right before COVID, prices came in very high. Changed the plan from there. We said, okay, we're just going to move forward with demolition for now. So we rebid just the demolition of late. And at the time, prior to that, I think the legislature had released somewhere in the vicinity of $6 million for the rebuild of the substate of the transfer station, which the bids came in almost twice that, I think, at the time. So we had an outstanding resolution for roughly $6 million, more or less, for the rebuild, demo, and rebuild. When we put it out for just the demo, recently we thought that we were covered from a legislative standpoint because the original that $6 million covered demolition. But we asked for clarification from budget, who then spoke upon council. They suggested we come back to actually revise a resolution just for the demolition. So we just got the final word this morning. After speaking with the chairman today, I signed a legislative request right before I came over here. And hopefully Bob, I think, dropped it off at the county exec's office on his way here. So hopefully-
Harry's been briefed and it's there.
Okay, so we're hoping to get that through for tomorrow. So it'll be hopefully fully signed for Ways and Means tomorrow. We do have a contractor waiting for us to, award the project to him. So we don't want to lose that 45-day window that we typically have. It doesn't hold on to that bid price. Plus we also have DEC deadlines associated with the project. So otherwise we would wait till next month.
Okay. Questions or comments? Go ahead, legislator.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't know if you can share those numbers with us today. Obviously, we had $6 million as a budget. I don't know what the demo is looking like today. And I'm anticipating, if I heard correctly, you said you're almost double what we expected. So you're at like 12 million for the total.
That was the total project for the rebuild. And we took all that out, just the demo price, the contract we want to award to was just under 2.1 million for the demo. The legislative request that I just signed, which were around 3 million, to cover any issues that, well, first some soft costs in the design, another design, construction inspection, that type of stuff, construction management. But also, if there's any environmental issues that come up during the construction that are found, that the money would be there to immediately address those issues. Did I leave anything out there, Bob?
That's it.
No, I think you're good there. Just following up on that. So are we okay to demo now without having a plan moving forward, per se?
Plan for rebuild, you mean?
Well, I mean, when's it gonna happen? We really don't know. My question is, are we putting ourselves at risk by demoing now? I'm assuming the answer is no, but I have to ask the question.
I don't believe there's any risk in doing that. Plus, we have the DEC that wants it done and they put deadlines on us to get it demoed. The DEC is more interested in getting the site cleaned up than us giving them a date of when the site may actually be rebuilt.
Okay, so that doesn't affect us functionally in any way to have this demo.
No, and I believe we can still function
That's
the
correct.
drop-off area.
PEC, the only like Eric said, the only deadline is the demo. They really don't care if we have a rebuild.
But the function there changed 2 years ago dramatically when we stopped accepting solid waste at the location, except for individuals coming in cars.
Right, and thank you, that's a better clarification probably. And we just have just a drop-off area, a small drop-off area, but not for large haulers. The large hauling part shut down. That pretty much, most of that stuff gets diverted over to New Hampton facility or wherever else those customers decide to bring it. They don't have to bring it to New Hampton. But we did see an increase in tonnage, obviously, when that closed down a couple of years back.
So for ease of discussion, we're about $3 million and it doesn't affect us in any way by doing the demo now. It's actually a benefit because DC.
Yeah, thanks. It's great.
Thank you.
Any other questions related to this discussion topic? All right, good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we will move on with our agenda. Next up is Herman Silkovic.
We voted on C?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I'm just a little confused about it. The more I read that over and over, like Pete was talking about. His total amount for this truck is $179,416.
No, it's 50,000. Our resolution was 50.
No, I see that, but there's a current balance of 134,416 in there. Why are we giving him any money? That's my question. I mean, I'm reading this, I read it 3 times.
We're gonna get clarification on that for tomorrow. That's what we.
So you'll have it by
Yeah.
ways and means to explain it.
Budget?
No, nobody from budget's here.
Yeah, we'll get clarification on that.
Okay, yeah,
I have a note here to talk about budget tomorrow.
okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Is it attached to like another, some other project possibly?
That's what I'm unsure of. Sometimes we have carryover.
Buy this truck.
Yeah, sometimes we have some of those capitals that we do year after year and we have money left over and we usually discuss how much is left. Do we need the extra money now or not? And then we might say, yeah, we have some projects that we're going to spend that money on. Do we still need, we would need that extra 50. I'm going to check with, Bob and I will check with budget and we'll check with our fiscal now manager to make sure.
I mean, it could be a pot of money
Yeah, no, I
that
understand.
basically is there for a number of different purchases. This was added to it, and we had to extend it, and those purchases haven't been made yet.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go for clarification tomorrow.
Yep, we'll definitely get that.
Go from there.
Right.
Good question.
Herman, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming today, and we look forward to getting an update on our recycling program.
Thanks for having me. Last we left off, we're probably in the middle of dealing with the national sword ban imports of recyclables to China, which not only us as a planning unit or municipality, but the whole country has been facing. Basically, the lack of markets for curbside recyclables. So in a moment, we'll have a graph popping up as we speak, of a picture of the last 2 years of recycling. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to zoom in if I can. This is from wastepriceindex.com. I can't guarantee that this is what our MRF uses to kind of base their pricing off of, but it's kind of a general tool that can kind of get the weather on where recycling markets are. And what you see is a line graph on what's called the curbside recycling composite index, which shows basically a bundled price, all kind of components of curbside recycling in one kind of unit of measurement, so to speak. And as you can see, over the past 2 years, we've got about a 35% increase in the price since dating back to about July 27, 2020, which is kind of like the middle of the pandemic. And as we all know, the markets were pretty much down in the dumps. They've rebounded quite significantly. However, as you can see, kind of correlating with the war in Ukraine, prices have started to tumble since the beginning of this current year. But we're still at about over a 1% increase since last year at this time. So how did this impact us? Around end of last year, late 2021, we went out to bid and we were able to receive the services, contract with the services for hauling and processing of our curbside recyclables. As you know, our curbside recyclables, single stream, commingled recycling, paper, cardboard, bottles, cans, plastic, etc. So, so this shows you that, well, the current contract we have reflected that this kind of upswing in the market where we were able to kind of bump down from our previous contract of being charged $100 per ton for the haul and process of our curbside recycling to $70 a ton. So that's where we're currently at right now. And so some of the factors contributing to this kind of challenge with the National Storage Program was the lack of markets, as we spoke about. So what we've done in the meantime to kind of make sure that at least Orange County's stream of recyclables are as clean and as productive as possible as far as the amount and quality of materials is we came out with the Recycle Coach app, which is a web app / mobile app. So we put out an RFP for a kind of a white label service. And there are a couple of them out there on the market. So we contracted with a company called Recycle Coach, which is based out in Ontario, in Canada. And like I said, it's a white label service that kind of pops a widget on our website that folks can use and go to find out when their pickup schedules are. So I don't know if you want to maybe go through it right now, since we're in the Village of Goshen. You can just go to our website where we have the Recycle Coach web app and just put in the area in which you live. So we'll just put the Village of Goshen here. And you can find out what your recycling pickup schedule is. So if you don't know where your recycling is picked up or when, we'll just use the address that they have here. Right. And a special thing about it is if a municipality chooses to kind of be onboarded with the county, which is free of charge, they can upload their schedules, their hauling schedules to this. As you can see, you'll see recycling pickup days, garbage pickup days. The Village of Goshen has a yard waste pickup day. I need to also mention that this is in Spanish as well. So there's a drop-down bar here. So your constituents, majority Spanish speaking, you can also, present that option to them as well. Also, this is the county information, like when we have household hazardous waste events, is also uploaded onto this calendar as well. We also have a what goes where tool where we can type in an item that we have a question about. Anyone want to volunteer an item that they have a question about?
Solar panels.
So, ooh.
Yeah. Beat me to it.
You might break the computer.
Yeah, let's see how good it is, and thank you for that to those solar panels.
And then I'll tell you about the letter I have from New York DEC.
All right. Okay, well, let's see what it says here. So there is an option here. Let's check it out. Okay, computer accessories require special handling to recover the materials they're made from. Please bring them to a retail store accepting electronics for recycling or county transfer stations. So FYI, what we did when we were setting this up with the county system, we tried to, there's a lot of stock information in here, but we uploaded some very, hyper-local information as well. This is mainly stock information. However, this is not entirely inaccurate. You can bring them, but we'll have to work it out with our vendor, kind of let them know ahead of time that there will be solar panels coming in, because it's considered not a covered electronics waste item yet. It's something that will be, but.
Give us something like tires.
Tires, okay. Let's check it out. Any here that you want to pick out of the drop-down list?
Well, you would think it would have car tires there.
Yeah.
Well, let's just.
Cars.
Automotive, right?
That's fluids and filters. Tire sealing.
Yeah, let's just.
Up above tires.
Donation or reuse is a preferred option for items in good condition. Alternatively, drop these items off at a county transfer station or local scrap metal yard. So that's so there are items you can type in any item and find out whatever answer that you need that you're looking for. Obviously, the county transfer stations are an option there, but we look to kind of offer upstream, so they're not just completely just using our transfer station to bring anything. Naturally, we do accept a wide array of items, but we also want to show that there are local shops, local scrap metal yards, local other waste disposal or recovery facilities that are out there in the county to kind of utilize the wide spectrum of facilities that materials can be dropped off at.
What's this called again?
Recycle Coach.
Recycle.
Yep. So far, speaking of the municipalities that have been onboarded along with the county, we have the Village of Goshen, we have the towns of Woodbury, towns of Cornwall, as well as Highlands. So we have a number of, and why I kind of come to you with this ask here is, we see a boost in participation when the municipalities on board into this. Like I said, it's completely free. We have a liaison that will help your municipality get set up within a couple weeks or days even. And this widget that you see here can be placed on your municipality's website. And there is also an app. So you just go to your app store or Google Play and just type in Recycle Coach, and then type in the municipality that you live in when you download the app, and you'll have all the same information. And also the app provides you with notifications. So I can send out a notification to your phone saying, next week we have a hazardous waste collection event, or XYZ collection event. Or, hey, don't you know our transfer stations accept tires? You know, so we send out, and that you'll get like a push notification on your phone.
What means of outreach have you done with the municipalities to encourage them to participate?
So we've sent out emails to highway garages, DPW connections. Also, I went out to the Minnesink Kiwanis Club. So a combination of email, phone call, and also just personal.
But you did make a comment before that if the municipality's on board and engaged, then it increases the participation.
That's correct.
So have you spoken to mayors and supervisors?
We've sent the emails out. As I said, we've called folks, but we haven't had much of a return as far as.
Might be worthy of the association, county
Yeah,
association.
Rumor and I were talking about that this week, actually. I mentioned to Justin in the county exec's office, so I'll talk about it. So might be a good date to maybe go there.
Reach out to them.
Yeah, because I know Steve goes there a lot to those meetings as well. So.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's something that we've been discussing.
Jim,
Yes, go ahead. Let's say we do it.
how long has this been available?
Since December of 2020.
December.
So
a year.
eight months.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to dovetail what you're saying, we really should have a blanket go out to, this is meant for the general public, right?
Mhm.
So the general public, I'm just hearing about it the first time, and we're in this room. The general public really needs to know, we should get some sort of marketing material out there ASAP.
So to speak to that, we did do a Facebook campaign. We worked with Focus Media, who the county has a contract with, to kind of get the word out about it, and they helped us develop a page on our website and also some marketing materials that were boosted on Facebook for I think 2 full months of April and May, and we boosted our participation on our downloads. So to date, we've had almost 5,000 interactions, got 3,250 total users, and about 1,000 material searches as of last week. So,
I'd just like to suggest, I think we need to do a mail campaign.
okay.
Legislator Tui?
And the Facebook page you use, is that one for recycling efforts that we have, or are you on the Orange County government Facebook page with a click through or something like that?
It was through, so we used the Orange County, our vendor, our PR vendor used the Orange County government page to set up this marketing blitz.
Okay, so if somebody got something from Orange County, they would be able to find it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else relative to this? Anything else you wanted to update us on? I'll ask a question. Food waste, that was something that recently, I guess recent, is it since January or is this a year ago January?
The food waste law?
Yeah.
So there was a food waste law that was passed and went enacted. That was passed and enacted January 1. So to prepare for the enactment of this law, which required food waste generators of over 2 tons per week or more, to have to develop a plan to donate excess edible food or recycle or compost inedible food. We try to stay ahead of the curve on this. and produce some marketing materials that were targeted in a mailer, as you mentioned, about kind of the ins and outs of the law and what you can do to prepare for it. And so I'm going to pass out some of these. Keep them together. Okay.
No, I don't want to shut.
It's okay.
It's one.
No problem. Yep. So here, feel free to take one and pass it around. So we targeted it to haulers as well as food waste generators, which could be restaurants, food processors, et cetera. So we had a list of about 150 that DEC identified for us, basically. And so we just took those addresses, we sent them out. We haven't had much of a response to anyone.
You mailed to 150 total
150 total.
pieces went out in the mail.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So not to the general public.
Not to the general public, because this is mainly targeted to those generators that generate 2 tons per week of food waste or more.
Thanks for
Any
clarification.
I think there's.
sense as to who in Orange County would be a generator of 2 tons per week or more?
Well, mainly pretty much most of the supermarkets. And I've had preliminary discussion with them. They have already robust systems because they work with the food bank where they're already pretty much complying. Though we did reach out to them. There are certain types of restaurant chains, as well as a few farms as well. I could provide that list at a later date, but yes.
How about like hospital cafeterias?
So hospitals are not included in the law. They're
they're
exempt for
exempt.
now, as well as K to 12 schools. That doesn't mean that we can't work with them. Maybe one day they will have to comply. But I think, there could be some leeway to work in the future with places like hospitals, because they could be hubs to kind of do a great program, help them divert a lot of food that, shouldn't be going to the landfill.
And who's responsible for enforcement? Is that happening?
I believe right now the DEC is just reaching out, and right now it's more of a kind of a soft
Collaborative?
opening phase, collaborative phase. Hey, we sent you this letter, are you doing it, sort of thing. So they are kind of taking on the launch of the law, but eventually it will have to turn into something that, where the enforcement would have to be beefed up.
Any questions relative to the food waste program?
I have a question
Go
on
ahead.
dollars. With regard to dollars, so you mentioned from your chart before that the costs are going down to what, $70 a ton? Is that what it is? And if I'm not mistaken, they were much higher than that previously. And we did a budget allocation based on that. So have we done a revised budget allocation?
Wasn't just to Eric and Bob, I think the budget allocations we did were related to tonnage, not changing price, or was it both? Because it came pretty late in the budget year. You're right. And so we might have done both for the subsequent year, knowing that we were increasing, that the price was going to increase or decrease.
I thought we were increasing. I mean, it's been several months.
We did, from what I recall having in front of me, we put it into the budget, and we came back for special discussion solely on raising the tipping fees for the next year, in addition to having it in the budget. And we raised the MSW garbage based on the bids that we received from the garbage hauler. And then what we did is, I believe we kept the tipping fee the same for single stream recycling, even though we did get lower. Our bids for hauling came in lower, came in at the 70. That was because we were basically sort of losing money on it before, because we didn't feel we could put the recycling fees higher than, or tipping fees higher than the solid waste, because then people would start, we were with the concern that they're throwing the recycling into the garbage because it's cheaper to get rid of it that way. So we had to hold that, we held that number there for a while. We went above, so we were kind of taking a loss on that, but we were balancing a lot out with the MSW. Then when the prices came in lower to haul for the recycling, we kind of kept the tipping fee there, so we would have that sort of I don't want to call it profit margin, but that margin to help cover our overhead in there. So we basically have been the same for the last couple of years for site recycling. We have it built into the contracts for recycling that they can come to us every 6 months if there happens to be escalation or anything within the market. so they can adjust up or down with those fees. So every once in a while, we do field calls from them, and sometimes we just tell them, no, we haven't seen enough to like justify an increase, or they haven't told us soon enough based on contractual requirements. And then we revisit that every 6 months with that hauler to discuss if there's a increase or decrease, but.
Let me do this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
It's a little more detailed of discussion. And what you said is reasonable, but what I would like to see is, can we look into this? I'd like to know what the numbers are looking like now based on your numbers.
Yeah, now, so it looks like their expenses might start going up based on that market curve you saw, right? Because they're getting less in return for commodity, so they may come back and say, we need more money. In that part, I don't think we've hit the milestone. We'll be anticipating that conversation.
Thank
you. Sometime this year. And then we'll have to, if it affects our budget, we'll have to either come back in, or we'll see if we have the money to cover it in the budget. If we don't, we might have to come back and say, we can balance them out, which we've had to do periodically over the last few years. Because it's such a volatile market.
Yeah, I mean, if I understand this correctly, we should be seeing money coming back. In other words, let's say we're $90 a ton, now we're down to 70, right?
Yeah, we were at 100, now we're down to 7.
Right, so it's $30 a ton. So
Yeah.
where's the difference?
Well,
That happened last fall,
yeah,
and we changed the budget to accommodate that, but the tipping fee didn't change, so.
You're following my train
Yeah.
of thought here.
we'll bring, yeah.
Thank you.
And we've, historically, there's been taxation involved with the transfer stations, in addition to the tipping fees that come in. So what that has helped do is reduce the taxation, but there's still a little bit of taxation that came in this budget for this year. So it's not totally breaking even yet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other further questions? Would you like to do a little more?
Just one more thing
Sure,
to add.
please.
The Center for Eco-Technology, so we got some in-kind help from them. So if there are any food waste generators in your districts that, might be interested, but they're kind of sitting in the wings because they don't know how to comply, we have experts that are waiting to help them free of charge set up, a strategy to divert food to soup kitchens, food pantries, and or to composting. So help us there.
Who do you contact that? If it's on this?
It's on that paper, yep. Or worst comes to worst, they can reach out to me.
It's funny because just because of this law now, I know a couple of years ago, I was asking like Hannaford and stuff, the food that they eat, when they make all day, they throw it out. And I said, well, why aren't we donating it? We're not allowed to. But now they're required to? I mean, I'm a little confused there.
Well, the prepared food is a different kind of animal when it comes to the food donation world because of the temperatures that have to be kept. So that would have to be, majority of that material would have to be composted still, even to this day with the law. But it's the other excess inventory that they may have that could and should be.
Let me just ask, so there's the ability, if the food pantry had heated containers, they talk to different restaurants or whomever, at the end of the night, they could go and pick up and they'd have to give it to them, or they?
Technically, it's possible. There's one or two soup kitchens out there that could do that. It's just about the logistics of it and if they're willing to come pick up or have it dropped off. But it's a smaller piece of that pie and a more difficult logistics kind of quandary to handle. But technically, it is possible.
Okay.
So like if they wanted to make chicken soup at a food pantry, they could get the rotisserie chickens that were left
I was
over.
thinking,
Good point. Okay. Any other recycling related questions? Before we move on? Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And our next and last item is an update on the medical examiner's office project. I see Deputy Commissioner Erickson is in the room. Would you like to join us at the table,
I'm fine right here.
Okay.
I got a good voice.
It's a little crowded, anyway, but thank you for being here. Right.
All right, so I can let Brian do most of the talking, but we'll talk a little bit about where we are with the plan set. Because obviously, we've been working with HHA. I mean, Hayes Associates is our consultant on the project for quite a while now, with progress meetings and design progress. And they have got to the point where they've given us pretty much a full set of plans. And that we're Brian and some of our staff been commenting back and getting those comments back to them. So they're not quite 100% done, but they're probably 95, 99% done. We're getting really close to being ready to go to bid for that. But you want to go through the rest of it, Brian?
Yeah, so as Eric said, we've been working with them. We reviewed the plans and specs. We sent comments back to the architect. Our construction manager's also done the same at this point. You're still working through some details, the geothermal well lines, where they're going to enter the building, how they're going to enter the building through the foundation. And there's a number of those well lines, some curb and parking lot elevations and stormwater design and permit. HHA has also been working with the ME doctors on details like countertop materials, sinks and how they operate, foot or hand, which is, as you can imagine, is important in certain areas of that facility. Safe for valuables is a minor thing. So our construction manager now is, he's reviewing the plans he sent back. He's also developing a final cost estimate for us that's part of his contract. He's reviewing constructability and also preparing a final estimate based on his knowledge of the construction industry right now.
I know you're going to ask about the estimates, so I'm just going to bring it up.
What's next?
The current estimate is just over 21 million, but that's not, we're still waiting for the updated estimate. So that's a very good, and the 21.2 million previous estimate, which was construction only. Just want to make sure that that's also a clear line. I think it's important to know that the construction manager is going to come back. We don't know if it's going to come back higher, it could come back lower, but we want to make sure that that's going to be the most important estimate that's forthcoming. Hopefully in the next week or two we'll get that, because he's really the one going through and looking at the lead time on materials, the price increases on materials, all that stuff. So that's the one I'm going to put the most stake in, is when we get when that comes back. I did speak with the county attorney just a little bit earlier today. He's just double checking on where we stand with the secret process. We want to make sure we get secret's been closed out before we go ahead and come back to release the rest of the money. My understanding is that at least, I think, $14 million of ARPA money had been reserved through the legislature, and there may be potentially discussion of the panel talking about budget that they're the round two of how that's getting allocated and what portion that might come to this project as well. So when those fall in place, I'm hoping that we're back in front of this committee next month asking for the money for the construction. The way I understand it, speaking with Debbie this morning, the budget is that even though you've already allocated money for the ARPA, through the ARPA funds, we still have to come back with a legislative request for that money. And then we also have to see what happens with the second round. So, to bring it up to the total project cost. So hopefully everything falls in line, and we'll be right back here 1 month from now asking for construction money. And then we can get the bid. That's the bottom line. The PLA, you said that the project labor agreement has been finalized, final draft anyway as well.
Yes.
And then we'll also have a better idea of the schedule of the project, because that typically would be the next question. Right? We get out the bid, how long is it going to take to get this done from there? That's also something forthcoming from the construction manager, because really the lead times we all know right now on materials is the critical thing. We talked about bridges. When Travis has been with me in front of you recently, and we talked about how we're putting our bridges out like 6-8 months more in advance now, just so they can order the steel and get it done, and knowing that they're going to be sitting and just waiting for materials to show up before they can start working. So that construction manager is going through those similar type items for this, and obviously there's a lot of steel involved with a movement like this. So it's really a question that we wouldn't necessarily be the answer at this moment. I think Brian and I were talking earlier today that 12 months, we typically think about 12 months to build a building like this, but we could award the project, and we could be waiting 6 months to even put a shovel in the ground. We don't know yet. So hopefully we'll have more answers on that shortly. The construction manager.
And when do you expect the plans will be in a position where you can go out to bid with them, and what would be the receipt date for the bids?
We're thinking towards the end of July or August, we'd be ready to go out to bid. So it's typically be on the street, I think, 4 weeks try to get 4, maybe 5 weeks for a project of this size.
Any questions, comments?
Is there a coordinated schedule involved in these specs so that, you tell us, you guys meet, and you have this schedule, is there gonna be fines, is there gonna be, if you can't meet the schedule that you give us, right, is that in the specs that says that? There
There's-
should be, if it's not.
Yeah, there's usually, we'll give a time of construction in the specs, so
They'll dump in their time frame that they need for,
yes.
and is there any penalties if they don't meet it? Or-
That sometimes is a subject we end up working through with the law department. I mean, we've had to deal with that recently. Liquidated damages get built in sometimes, depending on how much collecting is another story.
Yes, usually you just extend the contract.
So it's something that, it's a case by case basis, I guess, and it depends on how much money is owed and how much it's worth pursuing something. But we try to use the contract language to the best of our ability to enforce these things.
Yeah, it's good to have it, if you don't have a coordinated schedule, one guy may hold up another 20, right? I mean, that's important that everybody agrees to it too, not just, well, here's our section, right? You'll have some kind of meeting, I'm sure, before the project starts, that this is the coordinated schedule we have. If there's any issues that you see now, let us know so we can make our changes, because once somebody screws up, usually everyone's held up or.
Yeah, one of the first, they'll have a pre-construction meeting at the beginning of any project like this, and then they will ask for a detailed schedule from the contractor, which will include any of the subcontractor work that he's got to get done. So he'll be responsible for communicating with the subcontractors and getting their schedules and putting it on one master schedule for us. And then there'll be progress meetings throughout construction.
Right, the CM, the construction manager will put it into a master schedule. When he gets everybody's.
Are we gonna hire a clerk that works? Or will somebody be representing the county there?
That's a construction manager.
The construction manager, yeah.
Right, but I mean, somebody from here, like we used, like on the courts building, we had our.
Yeah, that.
Goes back to our earlier.
Yeah,
Yes.
the position we discussed first item on the agenda tonight was the assistant, Scott was the assistant director.
That'll be.
That'll free up Scott.
Yeah, so it'll probably be Scott and then that new hire that will do a lot of that legwork. But this is one of the projects which is pushing the need for an assistant.
Okay, legislator Menuda.
Thank you. On that note, with regard, we're in very difficult times right now as far as construction is concerned. I don't think we really truly know what that looks like. The long lead items are going to be variable on some of these, and it may get dragged out for quite a bit of time. And whereas, to legislators' point, having a deadline is always a good thing. However, I'm seeing a lot more projects go with the cost plus with no deadline, because it's impossible to figure out where the materials are coming from and what their availabilities are. So I don't know if we as a county have ability to do a cost plus. That seems to be the way things are going. It keeps everybody in the game. And if you try to fix a cost and fix a time, contractor's only going to bump his number so that he can cover that possible downside.
Yeah.
So cost plus seems to be the way to go right now. So as a suggestion, I'd like us to look into that.
Yeah, that's something we can discuss our construction manager as well. That's really who we're kind of depending on to come up with that type of advice, really, because he's been on that side of it. So I think it's good discussion.
Thank you.
You mentioned the 21.2 million, and that's solely the construction cost.
Right, that includes all
FFE,
costs.
what about it?
I'm sorry, that does include FF&E, yes.
Okay, thanks.
And again, that's the estimate that we've had for some time now without detailed plans. So that's going to change one way or another in the next couple of weeks here.
Just to clarify,
Yes, go.
that's everything excluding soft costs and purchase of the property for the owner or the owner. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions, comments regarding this? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, appreciate it. Chris, was there anything you wanted to add?
Just that the medical examiner's office is looking forward to the time where we can get into this for sure.
Cut the risk short.
It is, these hot days, we hold our fingers and cross our fingers and hold our breath, that things are gonna hold up and that we don't have to call to move bodies out of refrigeration that's breaking down. So it's tough. We're looking forward to it.
Very good. All right, with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Chairman, say two. Oh, yes.
Yes, I don't see on the agenda a report on the parks that was supposed to be forthcoming today. If you remember correctly, Harry Poor, the deputy county exec, was gonna give a report back in April. And then that
He
got
was here
delayed
last
until June, which was supposed to be all encompassing, so he could get a tour of all the parks facilities. We mentioned the brick house, the hill hole, and Mike, you're on the same page with me. How far can we keep kicking the can down the report? I mentioned it to you, Mr. Chairman. Let's get something done here. I mean, it was supposed to be today,
And
and it's been like 3 months. I mean, come on.
He came last month and spoke to us, but you're right.
And I understand that he's busy with doing the duties of the county exec, and the county exec is on military, but delegate, appoint somebody to do it.
I failed to ask him to come this time, so.
But
I will make sure.
And that's not even your failure. I think he knew that he was supposed to come this month and give us a full encompassing report of all the parks facilities.
And
So I think we should have it next month at the very latest,
We will,
I
we
mean,
will.
we're
speak to him
talking about
today.
buying property producing parkland at the Camp Lombardia property, when we can't even fix what we've got.
Right.
I mean, I mean, how long do we have to keep screaming for this? Just,
You will be here in July.
thank you.
Thank you.
With the report and with the pictures and the videos he was gonna take, and taking someone from the volunteer organization that know what the issues are. That was the point he made to him, and he sort of said yes, but nobody's been contacted. That would be the person to go with him. Happens to be a builder too, who knows the issues at some of the places that he wants to review. They haven't been contacted either. So was his plan to really do it for this month? I don't know.
I don't know, I heard we cut out the boats at Winding Hills, not Winding Hills, at the boat house on, off
Topsville.
Grove Street, yeah. Are we still doing boats there? I mean, the golf courses are doing great, but we're cutting other amenities that we have in the county. I mean, that always, I
I'm with you,
understood we
Steve.
get away
I
with
think
snow
time
tubing and things
sensitive.
like that, with the cost of
Seasonally,
snow
It's
tubing.
time sensitive.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
It isn't like we don't have the money, that's for sure. There's no question about money we have.
Yeah, and the new park in Chester, after we get a bid, $12 million, $10 million to the county, $1 million to each municipality. Just throw that out the window.
Chairwoman Vanelli, you wanted to make a comment?
Just so that you're aware, and you and I had the conversation earlier, next month, there will be on your agenda, as well as Ways and Means, a list of various different capital projects that the county executive is putting forth with 21 surplus money to be done this year. And a lot of those projects for parks, it's not necessarily an overview of each park. I know, Steve, you're talking about something a little different, but it does sort of highlight a little bit of the parks. I think there's a lot of parks projects in that particular.
There's a lot of
list.
playground.
I don't know that it totally satisfies what your concern was, Steve, but that is on for next month, and I have to prepare you. It's going to be a very long list over there. Something project.
At least I think.
Chairwoman, I hope that there's something for the brick house and the hill hole in there.
I don't.
Because
know.
you're on capital,
Yeah.
capital, Lee's on capital, and Barry's on capital.
I don't, but here again, this is the projects that are gonna be done with the surplus money, and then other projects are gonna be done with other money. So I don't have the list in front of me, so I can't.
Okay, well,
But I
I
can
hope the
check.
capital, if you express some of the concerns here with respect to those two
There are
facilities.
capital
And
projects
Neversink as well, and Tom always yells about Neversink and Algonquin too.
Well, you'll see the list when it comes out,
Okay.
and it's going to be a long agenda, so you're prepared. So write that down, because there's at least 20 projects.
Not just for parks,
But no, it's
Yeah.
going to be
parks have quite a
airport,
few. yeah.
DPW, transportation, there's a lot of,
And they're gonna be individual now, right?
there are individual requests, yes.
Anything else you need to discuss? With that, then I will call for a motion to adjourn. Legislator Tui, Legislator Menuda, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.